Today I am sharing my content creation process, the steps, and how to make the most of your time when it comes to your content creation process. I want to have a quick little disclaimer before we get into this episode. I am going to share my process and what works for me and what I have used with clients. But here's the thing. I am not in any way, shape, or form saying that this is the way to do something. In fact, I don't really like when people in marketing do that, when they're like, this is the only way to do X, Y, or Z. There's no other way. Everything is black and white. Like, no. So I share this so you can see what I'm doing. You can see my perspective, but I recommend giving it a try, seeing what works, and then honestly adjusting and getting rid of what doesn't feel like a fit. So all that to say, let's get into my process. For me, this content creation process is a cycle. Like I think about it happening every week. And for some context, I like to work at least a week in advance, if not 2 or 3. So how I'm going to explain this is I'm going to say like what step I do on each day. And then I can just like tell you what day of the week I do it on, but you could put it on a totally different day. The first thing I do is I make sure to solidify all of my ideas and outline them in Notion. So I pull up my weekly content calendar view. I make sure, okay, I've got all of the ideas that I want to put out over the course of that week. Make sure they're all in Notion. I make sure if I'm doing any speaking to camera, I have like a script. I know what my hook is. I know what my CTA is. I just kind of get everything ready to go and moved into my ready to record section. I do this on Mondays. So that way on Tuesday, I can basically just film everything. I get in the headspace. I'm ready to be on camera. I've probably brushed my hair and I'm like, let's film some stuff. So Tuesday, I film everything. The next day, I edit all of that video content. I organize it within the Notion calendar. So it's a bit tricky when it comes to like trending versus like, longer form video that I might need to edit. But if it's, anything that requires intensive editing, I'm doing that on Wednesday. I'm getting it all set up. I sometimes drag things back into the Notion calendar so that way I have it for future use if I want to repurpose or repost it. But Wednesday is a really big editing day. Then on Thursday, I'm going to write all of my captions. I'm going to add hashtags. I'll schedule what I need to. That's sort of just like the fine-tune day. So I'm like, great, making sure everything's good to go. I might build any ManyChat automation triggers I need for content. So that way then on Friday, I can really just like brain dump any ideas or questions I got from the week. It's sometimes nice to like go back through content and see common comments you're getting. That is the perfect day where on Friday, I'm just sort of like taking all of those ideas, whether they're in my brain, in my notes app on my phone, on a random post-it note on my desk, and I'm putting them into my Notion brainstorming section. So that way I am ready to go on Monday to kind of like utilize those ideas and get that solidified week of content ready. If you are digging this concept and you're like, great, you keep mentioning Notion and like how this fits in, I actually created a Notion content calendar that basically coincides with this process. So it has a brainstorming tab that you can drop all of your ideas into. You can categorize it by pillar. You can then move things into when they need to be recorded. And then once you've filmed them, you can change the status to be in the real recorded section. And then you can move them onto the calendar. Like it's a very fully integrated content calendar. I'm obsessed with it. So if you go to livelikemad.co/cal, you can grab your copy of the template. I swear it's going to be like the best $30 you've ever spent. And so I want to kind of end this episode just with the note of like the content creation process is a creative process and everyone has a different way they like to go about creative processes. And so I think the best way to figure out what works for you is to do your research, give things a try, see what you like, and adapt from there. So let me know if you give this a try. Like I said, DM me on Instagram or TikTok. I'm at livelikemad.co. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe or follow the podcast on whatever platform you're listening on, and I will see you next week.